Let's play bingo. Friends, family, Bible club. Gather your group and have a bingo party. Prizes. The 500 jackpot could be yours. July the 17th. Hold that date. Let's play bingo.
Well, your wife, Dr. Rita Pemberton, she did a couple of lectures, during COVID on the history of the church and so forth, and of course, excellent. And I kind of wonder, what are some of the things you all would discuss at home with your children? Because I mean, she's history, you're agriculture. What are some of the things, the discussions that you would have had with your children? So, I mean, I just could only imagine.
Oh, well, well, with children when they were young, the discussion was just normal thing of families about school, what happened in school today.
Yes, yeah. But as they got older,
because but again, as I said, we were always very close to UE. All the children went to UE school and that sort of thing. So it's always UE.
Yes.
But when my sons went to Hillview, because of proximity, I couldn't living again in UE at St. Augustine.
Right.
So no sense thinking about going down to
Tongue.
To QRC.
Yeah.
They have Bishop East at that time. So they went to Hillview, and my daughter actually went to St. Joseph Convent, St. Joseph. So that was a different experience with them being, at Catholic school, a Presbyterian school. So that in itself was always a nice thing to talk about.
Yes.
The different schools and so on.
The different
but besides that, the normal things that families is about the children, their growing up problems, wanting to go to parties too. Trying to restrain them as much as possible.
So they didn't want to learn about history, about those kind of things. They didn't want to have those kind of discussions at all.
Not those kind of high flying discussions. So I mean, all the children they were growing up with, and we were living around with, like fellow lecturers and professors, so that
right here. So there's all that knowledge. There's all that knowledge right there available for them. Like I would have assumed they would have been like I don't know, like you all having a get together with other lecturers and they just sit down there soaking in all that information. That's the assumption.
Nothing that you're right. They will go. Just a normal family discussion.
Normal stuff.
Normal issue, yeah.
How many children you have?
I have three. 2 boys and 1 girl.
And how many grandchildren you have?
Oh, I think I have 5. I think I have now 5.
What? Very nice. And how is that grandfather life going for you?
Going quite fine. I see some of them. Well, actually, my two granddaughters here. They were going to Bishop's East most of the time. So they one is still there actually doing gift this year. Then so they are doing fine. Yeah, the grandsons, 2 of them are in but I have 3. My other granddaughter actually is in Wales. Wales, yeah. My first son is anesthesiast, or whatever they call it.
Anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist in Wales. So she lives there.
Wow. Okay.
My two grandsons, they are actually in Tortola.
Mm.
Their father, who is a dentist in Tortola.
Wow. So everybody's spread out and
Yes,
and
yes,
so
yes,
we have
yes.
different experiences. Very nice.
My
That's very,
daughter's
very
a my daughter's a pediatrician at Sandy Grande Hospital.
what? So yeah, so they are all doctors too.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, with the parents that you have, I can't see that not happening, but okay. All right. All right. So you would have spent your time at UE, right? But somewhere along the line, within ministry, you know, became an option, right?
Right.
How did that happen? What did you make the switch from agriculture to deacon? How did that happen?
Right. And I won't say it's a switch because I haven't given up the agriculture. I still
Well,
have farm.
true,
So,
because you're still there, true.
yeah,
True.
still agriculture. But
Yes.
it was I suppose a very gradual process because I always went to church sometimes,
Yeah.
but but through Mr. Titus, who was deceased, Titus, I got involved in the vestry at
Yes.
St. Mary's. That was my first kind of introduction to the church, per se.
Right.
So I went to the vestry and I spent many years in the vestry at St. Mary's Parish. And then one year they asked me if I want to go on the Northeast Regional Council. This is a nice experience. I said, well, why not? So I joined the Northeast Regional Council as the representative for St. Mary's Parish. So I went to the first meeting, which turned out to be the AGM for the region. And I was elected or installed as the vice chairman. So I thought, well, I said, okay, that's not bad. I can see what this thing is about. But the next meeting, the chairman resigned, and they said, well, you are the vice chairman, so you have to be the chairman.
Wow.
So by the second meeting, I was the chairman of the Northeast Regional Council.
Okay.
Not knowing anything about regional council, but I kind of had to learn and so on. I stayed in that position for 5 years, actually. 5 years I stayed as chairman of the Northeast Regional Council. And that got me to the church, how the church operated, going to synod and those kinds of stuff. Then came up the new wine vineyard because I was in Northeast Regional Council and so on. And I got to be part of the committee that oversaw that whole operation under now Bishop Berkeley. So he actually headed that committee. He was canon at the time he was. So I got involved in all of that. And in terms of the new wine vineyard and all of that, coming up with all those terms with Canon Berkeley did at that time. And that got me more and more into the church. So when all that activity was finished with the Price Waterhouse report and so on, I went to Bishop Press at the time and said, well, I would like to do a little bit more for the church. So he told me, well, why don't you study theology? So I said, well, all right, no problem. That'll get me to understand the church a little more. So he told me to do a online degree, like a distance degree at the University of Gloucestershire. So I did that, and I graduated with BA in theology. Then when that was finished, Bishop Berkeley was the bishop. So I went to him and told him, well, look, I just graduated. I got this degree in theology. So he said, well, then you have to be a priest. I said, no, I just did it out of my, I just interested. He said, no, but you have a BA in theology. You send it to Codrington. Right. So that I had just retired from UE. So he said, yeah, we'll fix it up and so on. So he just shipped me off to Codrington.
Okay.
That was my first experience of church now from that side. I'd never been a server, never been a lay minister, never been anything. So I had to learn fast. So I took any time. I spent about 6 months there trying to pick up as much as I could. Almost 4 to 6 months, 4 months. Try to learn as much as I could. I came back and was posted here at All Saints, and then continued learning So
Mhm.
that was basically how it happened.
Wow. So that wasn't it wasn't necessarily part of your plan post-retirement from UE.
No. I didn't have any plans to become a priest at all. I thought that after I retired, I would just go into farming full time. No,
Right. Exactly.
God had different
Yeah, got different plans.
God had different plans for me. Yes, so that was how it is. I just gradually moved into it. Um,
Mhm.
and
Wow. So what do you find is one of the most challenging aspects of being a member of Fuji?
oh, well, of course, writing sermons, of course, that's quite challenging.
Right.
And also, what's quite challenging is how people come to you for advice on different things.
Mm-hmm.
You sometimes can't believe that people would trust a priest that much to ask you to advise them on this and advise them on that. And sometimes quite, you know, interesting things. They're having some dispute with the family over land and all sort of things. And they come to the priest to ask, what they should do. Children having some marital problems or boyfriend, girlfriend problems, that sort of thing. They already come to priest and believe that priest could give them advice along the way. So that's a challenge because you yourself, feel yourself incapable
Right.
advising on such wide areas.
Mm-hmm.
You come to ask me anything about calculus or something, or statistics.
You
I
could
feel a
give it
little
up
more
for sure.
competent, yeah. But it's coming to ask me about things like that. So you really have to pray a lot and
Right.
ask God for advice yourself, so that you have the confidence to be able to deal with issues like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you have things like healing services and so on, people come up to you, well, you have to say something. You have to kind of, and actually, after a while, you could feel like somebody comes up here and you feel like the Holy Spirit telling you what the person's
Yes.
problem is, what to say.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But it is a challenge, but after a while, I say, you just have this feeling somebody comes up to you and you just feel that you could say this about this person.
Right.
Yeah. But it is a
Right.
challenge. You have to keep up this spirituality a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And what has been one of the most fulfilling aspects about being a member of Fuji?
Well, I suppose the trust that people place in you, that is it. Of course, at my age and so on, you get a lot of the older people and coming to you and expecting you to give them comfort. So we do quite a lot of visit to the age, and
Right.
that is to see how they happy to see you and giving communion also. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So of course in this period here, keep getting the messages, tell them what the official position of the church is that you can't come, but really. So now that the church has opened back up and allowing it to be starting so then I think that they'll be quite happy because they really look forward. The family will tell you that the caregivers, they're really looking forward to
the communion.
so on.
Oh, okay. Well, do you have, I don't know, an overarching principle that guides you in your ministry, a particular Bible verse that when you think about it, this is what your ministry is about?
Yes, I suppose the commandments of Jesus, love God and love your neighbor as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's kind of
that's what guides you in your ministry.
That's what guides me.
That's a good one. I think the struggle sometimes is, that love, for your neighbor, or when your neighbor,
Yes.
not treating you too
Right.
nicely,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes,
you
yes,
still,
yes, yes.
you still have to remember, that the sun shines on me as well as that person. you know,
Right.
God allows that. So that's one of the things I know I am working on, you know,
Right.
on this journey, you know, but I'm really glad to hear that that's one of your principles, because, you know, we
Yeah,
need that.
because it's a powerful thing, you know.
Yeah.
How could you love God who you cannot see? If you cannot love your neighbor who you can see? It's a
Mm-hmm.
powerful, powerful, powerful message.
Yes.
And when you see persons, you really have to, despite everything, you have to try to show some sort of love or compassion towards them.
Yes. That's important. Really, really important.
It's tough sometimes, but you have to.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree with you. It's tough, but we really have to do it. Huh? But what has it been like being in All Saints? I mean, you know, moving from a parish in the east and then you're one kind of like smack dab in Port of Spain. What are there any differences in terms of culture, ways of worship, anything like that?
Oh yes, yes. Of course, main difference in culture, All Saints here, migrants. That's the main one. Migrants.
Or they come in the service, they come in the church?
Well, they come in the church. They come almost every day, unless we lock the gate, maybe 24/7. Because some people claim that there are about 100 of them living in the savannah. So
Wow.
constant stream of them at all times. Also, some of late now, not as many as before. Just of late, I'm not interacting with them as much. And also has a program where we feed
Yeah.
some feeding on Thursdays. About 30 to 40 persons will come. So, but that has been a shocking thing.
Oh yeah.
Also,
Because,
all
yeah.
ages and so on.
Yeah.
And of course, we know the kinds of problems that give rise to the state. All the same thing, you know, a long story. But you have a fair idea that you can give them the money where it's going. It's the hard part of the thing. It's the hard part of it.
And are you all able to help them sort of move from that state to a better state, or is it just, you know, you give them the food and, you know, you kind of hope for the best?
No, well, we do try.
Mm-hmm.
One particular case we had was one person we tried a lot, we were fairly close to. When the pandemic hit, we had the lockdown. We found them about 14 days later, yeah, state of decomposition. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's just nobody, every place lockdown and so on, nobody's to check on him, or he can come
Yes.
out and so on and just stay there and die. So that's it. So all of that made us know that we were making a contribution. Just him coming to church from time to time, him in touch with people and
Yes.
him,
Yes.
you know, but left to his own devices and a lockdown, probably took whatever it is and just, you know, nowhere to go, nobody to talk to. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it makes you believe that we are making a contribution in some senses. Some of them, we have seen some changes in them. They come to church now and they sit quietly, they're not as aggressive and so on.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. I really hope that the parish is able to assist, continue to assist. You know,
Yes.
because and you know, make a difference in terms of that situation in Spain.
That's,
You know.
yes.
So I, you know, one time I scrolled on Facebook and I was like, hey, I know this face. Hey, this Dr. Pemberton with winning an award for is it the National Cocoa Awards in 2020?
Oh yes, 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 yes.
How did that come about?
Well, I do grow cocoa as I have a farm up in San Randy. So
Right.
I grow cocoa. And with the company, the cocoa company, they have a extension officer, cocoa extension officer. So he told me that I should enter the competition. So I said, okay, no problem. So he helped me in terms of the technology and so on. So I told him, all right. So he came and he selected butter cocoa, 5 kilograms, and he entered it. And I didn't think much about it, but then it turned out that I came 50th.
Oh, congratulations.
It's quite unexpectedly.
Yeah. But what is the interest in cocoa? Like, you know, do we have a strong cocoa industry? Is it, I know that we, I have seen I think it's Lupino. Lupino has a strong
Yes, cocoa culture.
yeah, cocoa culture there, because I saw it in the mall one time. But I mean, is it really that prevalent in Trinidad?
Yeah, but of course, Trinidad at one time was a major producer of cocoa,
Yes.
quality cocoa,
Yes.
but our production has dropped dramatically over the years.
Mm-hmm.
5,000 tons right down to now we produce around 300 tons. Still
Wow.
a fair amount of cocoa if you think about it. That's 300,000 kilograms. It's still not a minuscule amount,
Mm-hmm.
but the trust of the industry is shifting from
Mm-hmm.
export to trying to produce more products, value-added products, as you might call them, locally.
Right.
So that is the trust.
Mm-hmm.
I myself still believe that we should be making a trust to expand the production itself. In other words, still try to carry the production up while
Yeah.
we diversify some of the output into value-added products. So that a lot of the small villages and so on are now trying to develop these value-added products.
Yeah.
Like not selling the beans, the raw cocoa beans, but producing chocolates and
Mm-hmm.
kinds of confectionaries and so on.
Yes.
That is the current thrust of the industry. But again, those value-added products are quite expensive, so that one cannot expect a whole industry to depend upon selling value-added products in Trinidad. Like 300,000 kilograms of cocoa turned into value-added products would be more than Trinidadans could eat in a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we still need to have a solid, my export business while we use some of the product locally and so on. And perhaps even try to get export markets for our value-added products.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember, having the experience of eating the cocoa straight from the pot itself, and it really was a nice experience.
Right.
But why do you know why our production dropped? If we were
we have written about that in many places and so on. It's the same basic problem like the sugar industry. That is, you had an industry organized on the basis of cheap labor. Cheap labor. So that you had labor intensive operations from production all the way to processing. When that labor became expensive, right, then there was no way that you could continue the same kind of production. And we just have not been able to change the technology in cocoa production. And that is basically it. Cocoa has remained a very labor intensive operation. Planting, from maintaining, it's grown under forest conditions. So that it's very wet and damp. And you need a lot of labor to pick the cocoa beans and so on. And then they talk about keeping the plants, cutting off the tupors, as they call it, and maintaining the tree itself. But all these things, if you have 50 acres of cocoa, how many people you have to pay to do all that? And if you have to pay them $200 a day, no way the price of cocoa could afford those labor-intensive operations. Somehow we have never developed the technology to be able to do these things in a cost-effective manner. This is the basic problem with the sugar industry. Cost of labor just drove production to be too expensive that just couldn't continue producing compared to other countries which were producing sugar at a much cheaper cost. But that is the basic problem.
Wow. So we just
Yeah, so
It must die
production
off.
just keeps falling,
Wow.
and the people, the old diehards are still in it. The only hope, as I said, is still to try to develop some type of
Mm-hmm.
production system that would allow us to produce cocoa with the kind of labor cost that we have. To my mind,
So,
still enough work to be done on that.
yeah. So how do you make your cocoa farm sustainable? You said that you grow cocoa in Sangre. Is it only cocoa, or you have other things that you grow on your farm?
Right, that's one of the strategies that farmers try, which would be to grow other things. So you have bananas, breadfruit,
Right.
mango, coconut. I now have probably quite a lot of coconut on the farm. So
Mm-hmm.
it becomes more like a mixed farm.
Right. Instead of just
And
strictly
that is
cocoa.
one of the strategies. But that means that every time a mango tree or coconut tree grows up in the cocoa, then there's less cocoa. So that you
Yeah,
gradually,
that's what I was now thinking. Is even less.
yeah, so you gradually will be moving out of cocoa and into more diversified production. But that's the only
Wow.
realistic thing to do.
Wow. I think became alerted to that when, as I said, I went to the mall and Lupino, the community from Lupino
Yes,
wasn't there,
right,
and they had soap, they had, of course,
right,
brownies and those kinds of things. So they were
yes,
sharing about the cocoa um production in Lupino, but
right,
and
right.
then of course Marshall Montano, he has his chocolate and that kind
Yes,
of thing.
yes, that's
So I mean, you're seeing things, but like I said, it's not enough. It's
yeah. The problem is, like for example, the Dominican Republic has become a major producer of cocoa, while
wow,
Trinidad
really?
has been declining, but they are basing it on cheap Haitian labor. So the
Oh,
Haitians go over there and provide the labor for the
hmm,
industry.
yeah.
So you need a good source of labor for production.
Yeah, well, if you have to pay
Yes.
people properly to farm the
Mhm.
cocoa, obviously that would affect the price.
Yes. Price and so on. And that's the sort of thing that happens now. Right? Like, for example, they keep making a lot of talk in the ILO and these international labor organizations and all these things about the enslavement of people and the low
Yeah,
wages of on
exactly.
African cocoa farms in Cameroons and Ghana and so on.
Yeah,
But this is a reality. If you have to produce cocoa, then
that
you have to
is.
get labor. Of course, so what want to do is to improve the conditions of the workers, but you cannot have, as an industry, you can't have persons being paid the kind of wages like in the oil industry and producing cocoa. I
Yeah,
mean, just because oil and cocoa are two different commodities, if you follow what
yeah.
I'm saying. So
And
it's the
there's
kind
no
of
way,
balance that has to be developed here.
and there's no way that technology could assist in the production of cocoa. Like there's some things that can be replaced. Some of the tasks that humans do can be replaced by technology.
Well, that is the hope. In fact, I just saw advertised a meeting later this year in I think it's Amsterdam, where they are talking about having a conference on that new technologies and so forth for the
Mm,
industry. So I'm not sure what they are, what developments they are talking about, but that is the thing that but you see the one of the issues about the cocoa is that it is not a grass, it's a tree.
mm,
And mechanizing tree crop production has always been difficult. You
mm.
could always mechanize grains or so
Right.
which you could use harvesters and so on. But this is a tree that is 14 feet tall, sort of thing, So what technology? And then the cocoa has the habit or the, the structure where a lot of the cocoa is born on the trunk of the tree, not even on the branches, like apples that will go
Wow.
inside. So it's
So you
the
really
whole
have to go and
architecture
pick
of the
it.
tree. You have to go and pick it. You have to pick it from the center
Yeah.
of the tree. So it's not
Oh wow.
it's not easy. Now
Yeah.
if it's something like oranges or apples at the side of the tree coming on the young growth, then they could
Mm-hmm.
have people go through in some kind of tractor and pick it inside. But
Yes.
so you have to
Wow.
use a bamboo rod. I mean, it's just such a labor intensive.
Yeah.
Romantic, it's a kind of romantic crop. But the realities are rather, different
Yes.
story.
Yes. Yes. Oh wow. I didn't know that as well. I didn't know that. Wow. I hope something could be done, but I mean,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know, but I hope the villages that are working on that, on the cocoa production, that they
Yes,
still continue, and I hope
yes,
that
yes.
and I hope that at least domestically there could be some kind of they could see some kind of profit or something
Right.
from that.
Yeah, and that's probably the solution in the end would be a farm the size that a family could operate efficiently and lucratively,
Yeah.
make some money. So that if you could organize like maybe 5-acre cocoa farms, 10-acre cocoa farms, a family could operate with with sufficient financing and so on, and they could make enough money and use their own labor with
Yes.
so on, that kind of thing. I think that might be the solution.
Okay. I hope
Enough of
somebody,
those around.
yeah, somebody listening may want to take up a venture like that.
Right.
All right. So I have to say this was very interesting.
Okay.
Reverend Pemberton, this was really, really very interesting. So one final question for you though is we're celebrating 150 years as a diocese. What are some of the things that you want to see taking place in the diocese moving forward? What are some of the dreams that you have for the diocese moving forward?
Right. That's a good question. Of course, the diocese has done a lot, and the caravan helped to bring a lot of this to the attention of the wider population. I hope more persons could still go back and view all of the caravan episodes of the caravan. Even last week, the South, those young people were quite interesting and quite dynamic, and it was very very good good understanding of the problems of youth in the parish, in the diocese. So, of course, also in our parish, why not? But what I would like to see for the next 150 years is the church diversify a little more in its activities in terms of maybe a hospital. Right? I see no reason why we can't get into something like a hospital. Other religions have been doing it. Then something that I've always advocated and which I've heard about that they made some attempts at, credit union, real strong credit union, so that the Anglicans could contribute to the betterment of other Anglicans. And then something that we have been working on is a tertiary level institution, that we move on from secondary now into tertiary education.
Yeah. What? That's
Other
some real
religions
nice.
have done it, yeah.
Yeah, that's a real nice ideas. I didn't think about a hospital. I know.
Yeah, hospital. I see no reason why we can't get into
Yeah, why
a
we can't have one?
hospital. We have been running elderly homes, but I remember when the Adventist built theirs, they moved from one building on Bokrapo Road to that one. And they asked for contributions from everybody to build a hospital. And once it was built, anyhow, we won't go any further, but understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I see no reason why we can't do that. As part of our St. Mary's group, St. Mary's parish group, we went to Jamaica, and we were able to see the University of the Northern Caribbean, because they have one here, University of the Southern Caribbean.
Southern Caribbean, yeah.
Have one in Northern Caribbean campus, that's almost as big as St. Augustine.
Wow.
So they have, and of course they have the Southern, they have the Northern, and that sort of thing. So we could do things. I think we could do a lot. We need to diversify now. Build on the success of our schools and education, and now move off into other areas to really make the diocese a lot more dynamic. Because we need to do, unless we do things and move on and keep getting into new areas and new exciting areas, get stagnated. I think that is what we did the first 150, time to move out now bravely into brand new areas. And the next 150 years, we have to say now we have these 2 hospitals, this one. And the next 150, let's get some brand new ideas going. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Credit union,
Yeah, I like that. I like all those ideas. I don't know. I was probably thinking small scale. I was just thinking a retreat center, because every time we have to go on a retreat, we always had to borrow somebody. But I like that idea.
Yes,
I like
all of that. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. So let's let's hope for the next 150 years, you know, when we doing our review, that we can add a hospital, credit union, and a tertiary institution to our accomplishments as a diocese. Amen.
And retreat center.
Yes, and a retreat center. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Well, we need one of those. We need one of those.
Yes, sure.
We need one of those. Wow, Reverend Pemberton, thank you so much for agreeing to chat with me today. I have to say I learned a lot. I learned a lot about you. And I learned a lot about agriculture as well. So thank you very much for that. And I want to wish you all the best in your ministry. I hope you will grow stronger in your sermon writing and your pastoral care. You know, of course, all with the aid of the Holy Spirit. So all the best in everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ayana.
Yes. So everyone, thank you so very much for watching this episode of Conversations with Anglicans. I remember, please check out the Trinity Restoration site to make any donations to the restoration of the Holy Trinity Cathedral. And as always, wear your mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Thank you.